What up guys, today is another AMA off of the YouTube comments and questions that you've been leaving me. So we're gonna dive into a bunch of different topics right now. So if you wanna participate in this, just leave comments below on YouTube and subscribe and I will get to your questions. Let's dive into these questions today. Let's get it going. This question is, what are my thoughts on sourdough bread? So I've made some videos about sourdough because if you are going to eat bread, it is a good option because that natural fermentation of that sourdough is going to decrease the amount of gluten in that bread. And that natural fermentation right there is just better for your body and easier to absorb. Now, I do not think bread is a health food, even sourdough. However, if you are going to eat bread, sourdough is a good option. The next question is, do I know of any shampoos that have 0 bad ingredients? The short answer is no. I really don't know of any shampoos that have 0 bad ingredients. There's just some ingredients in them that are drying to the scalp. A lot of them have fragrance. Lance made a brand, Base Body Works, which has very good ingredients. I have one in my shower, but I do not use shampoo every day or even multiple times per week. I just use water on my hair. If my hair gets dirty, I will shampoo it, and a few times, maybe once a month, I will shampoo my hair just to give it a clean, but I do not use it every day. I like to have those natural oils in your hair, which are protective for your scalp health, your hair health, all that. The next question is, do I keep my Bluetooth off at all times? I keep it off when I go to sleep. I turn my phone on airplane mode. I do not keep it off during the day. I try to not have my phone right near my balls, as we've seen studies that can negatively affect your fertility and stuff like that. But I am not somebody that just avoids all Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I'm not there yet, and I don't really see any studies directly linking Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to being something that's extremely dangerous for health. Those studies might come out as this is relatively a new thing, but yeah, I turn it off at night. The next question is, what are my opinions on fermented foods, specifically kimchi and sauerkraut? So fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, I am a pretty big fan of. I have some in my fridge and I will eat kimchi and sauerkraut to get some of those beneficial bacteria and probiotics. Now, probiotics and fermented foods got extremely popular in this sort of wave of fermented foods hit where people said that anything fermented is good for you. That's not really how it works. Kombucha, for example, some of those bacteria in kombucha are what are called histamine forming. So there's histamine degrading bacteria and histamine forming. Typically for many people, histamine forming bacteria are not going to be beneficial. You might get that itchy feeling. You might just not feel good if you have high histamine levels. Not all fermented foods are going to be good for you, but in my opinion, foods like kefir, foods like sauerkraut, kimchi are good for you. So yeah, I'm a fan of them. The next question is, how do you strengthen your joints specifically? So what I think he's asking is sort of about corrective exercise stuff, like prepping to lift bigger weights. So what you want to do is progressive overload. So when you're lifting in the gym, you do want to have those warm-up sets with some pretty light weight. And when you're learning exercises, you should go lighter and a bit higher rep, in my opinion. And then you sort of progress to getting to that 5 to 10 rep range where you're training towards failure. What you also want to do is do corrective exercises. The exercises like band work are really going to improve a lot of your joint health, your tendon health, and exercises like kettlebell Turkish get-ups are amazing for improving your overall shoulder stability and health, your knee health, stuff like that. The next question is, does grass-fed beef jerky carry the same nutrient value as grass-fed ground beef? So this is a really interesting question. I had to think about it for a little while, and what I would say is that ground beef is very underrated. You're getting a lot of different cuts of meat. It's oftentimes actually pretty rich in collagen and glycine, some of the amino acids like glycine that we're really seeking after. So if you get real good ground beef, I would put that very high up there in terms of some of the best cuts of meat you can get. And it's obviously a mixture of cuts of meat. But as far as the actual nutrition between grass-fed beef jerky and ground beef, there's not going to be too big of a difference there. The next question is, when I get a lot, it's about water consumption. How much water do I drink per day? What I have figured out is you do want to follow your thirst mechanism to some extent, and you do want to put minerals in your water. I fill this thing up with my reverse osmosis water, which I have the reverse osmosis filter under the sink, and I'll put like a big pinch of salt, and then once a day I put my electrolytes, which are a salt-based electrolyte right here, Santa Cruz Paleo electrolytes, and I end up drinking about 4 of these per day, sometimes a little more, so it's a little less than a gallon of water. I'm 165 pounds right now. It is going to depend on your activity level. Are you hitting the sauna a lot? Are you sweating? But you want to follow your thirst mechanism, but you should at least be drinking about 3 of these per day. The next question is, does milk cause acne? Does dairy cause acne? This is an interesting question because the answer is sometimes. If you are lactose intolerant and you consume dairy, you are going to have inflammatory pathways in your body activated because your body doesn't really know how to deal with that lactose. It doesn't produce lactase, the enzyme that digests those milk sugars. Now, for many people, if they have raw grass-fed dairy or A2, which is a variety of dairy, they don't experience any of these symptoms. So if you're just drinking some low-quality dairy and you're getting some skin issues, I would absolutely cut that out for 30 days and see if it improves, and then maybe add back in some raw milk, raw dairy. When we get back from Costa Rica, we're gonna film a YouTube series where I reintroduce a good amount of dairy into my diet, and there'll be a pathway there where I'm doing raw cheese, first of all, because it's very low in lactose, and then we're gonna get into some, raw kefir, which is very low in lactose, and we're gonna sort of reintegrate dairy and see how I do. So that's gonna be interesting. Follow along for that. The next question is, what is a good amount of caffeine to consume every day? So currently right now, I often don't use caffeine. Sometimes when I'm maybe on vacation, like I'm about to go to Costa Rica, I'll probably have some coffee there. I just, I enjoy it sometimes. But on most days, on average day, I'm consuming no caffeine. I don't consume caffeine most days of my life. And the reason is I have a bunch of energy. Trust me right now, when I'm looking at you, I have tons of energy right now. I'm going to be able to do a full workout. I feel energized right now, and that is with no caffeine. Now, there are some benefits to caffeine. There's also some drawbacks to caffeine. If you're going to use caffeine, I would consider using it in the morning and about, 100 milligrams. I would not be doing mega doses of caffeine in the afternoon or even in the late morning. The half-life of caffeine is about 6 hours, and so if you're having caffeine in the afternoon and you're trying to go to sleep, half of that caffeine is going to be in your system after 6 hours. So you're going to have caffeine in your system, and you might be saying, Brennan, well, I can go to sleep, it's fine, I take my pre-workout, I go to sleep. There are studies on this, and it shows that you get less deep sleep and REM sleep. It doesn't matter if you feel like you can fall asleep and you feel like you're getting rested. Over time, you're just gonna have worse sleep quality than if you weren't using caffeine. So use it wisely, use it in the morning. The next question is, what are my thoughts on people that smoke cigars? Specifically, I assume that you are on board with me that cigarettes are horrible for your health, and cigarette smoking is probably one of the dumbest things you can do for your health in today's world. But with cigars, you don't really inhale them, and it's just tobacco. What are my thoughts on people smoking cigars? So, it's not a healthy thing to do. Let's just get that out of the way. There's a lot of evidence and papers showing that you can have an increased risk of mouth cancer. That cancer can spread to your jaw. It appears that it's just really not good for you. Now, tobacco does have some neurotropic effects, so it's going to have some cognitive short-term benefits. I still am not a fan of the trade-off that nicotine might give some, slight cognitive benefits, but the drawback of it is it might give you cancer. Not a big fan of cigar use. Hey, if you want to puff one here and there, go for it. I've tried a few cigars. I don't really love them, but if like once or twice a year you're puffing a cigar, that's not going to give you cancer. You're fine. But if you are a habitual cigar user, you should definitely watch out for mouth and jaw cancer. Look up a photo of somebody that has jaw cancer, and you might not want to smoke cigars too often. The next question is, what do I use to wash my clothes with? Like laundry detergent, that type of stuff. So I like to use white vinegar, and people will say, well, aren't my clothes gonna smell like vinegar? They don't. They just don't. People have been using vinegar to clean their clothes, and you can look this up, vinegar, laundry detergent. It works great. And then I also have just like a natural laundry detergent. The brand of the laundry detergent I have is Ecos, and it's like very phthalate-free, paraben-free, fragrance-free. And sometimes I'll use some of that, like with my jiu-jitsu clothes and stuff like that. They get really dirty. I'll use some of that natural laundry detergent. The next question is a very important one, and it is, Brennan, what do? I just got broken up with. What can I do to get over that? So I'm specifically talking to guys here, okay? The first thing you want to make sure of is that you stay healthy. Why is this important? There is study after study after study showing that if you have a good immune system, if you have good hormonal health, you are going to be more attractive to women. Also, when you're healthy, you're just going to look better. So, women are going to like that. So the main thing I see is like guys will completely fall off of their health when they get broken up with. They might go drink a lot. They might go just eat bullshit. They might just, just slack off on all the stuff. They might be missing out on the gym, all that. So do the opposite of that. Don't drink, don't smoke, go to the gym, get super jacked, eat well, wake up early, and then that'll put you into like this good kind of role. The main thing to really look at and the main thing to, take note of is you should probably get out there in a couple weeks and find another girl and start going on dates with other girls. You don't have to go find the one, but you should definitely get back out there and sort of just, it's the classic saying, it will help you get over the girl who broke up with you. And the other thing is perspective. You have to realize that you're probably young if you're writing this comment on YouTube. Life is long. You are going to find other girls. This one just wasn't the one. You shouldn't really try to get back with her probably. You should just find a new one. So take care of your health and find a new girl. The next question is, Brendan, it's Ramadan. What can I do to maintain good health during Ramadan? So the rule of Ramadan is you cannot eat from dawn until sunset. So it's basically a long fast all day where you cannot eat. And depending on where you're at in the world, there's gonna be a slightly different time. But you know, let's just assume that when the sun goes down, you are allowed to drink liquids, you're allowed to eat food. So what would I do? The first thing I would do when that sunset hits and you're allowed to drink liquids and eat food, electrolytes are allowed on Ramadan. I would find a good salt-based electrolyte. Obviously love our Santa Cruz Paleo electrolytes, but if you don't have access to those, just find some good sea salt, and I would put that in a big thing of water. I would drink that. The next thing is I would try to hit 90 to 100 grams of protein. You might struggle to get your gram. You know, you want to get 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, ideally. You might struggle to hit this during Ramadan because, you know, you only have a limited feeding window, but I would try to get about 100 grams of protein, some healthy carbohydrates, and a good amount of healthy fats. I would be loading up on healthy fats during this time: grass-fed butter, olive oil, you know, healthy cuts of meat, beef tallow, cooking your meat in beef tallow, stuff like that. Because getting those healthy fats is going to give your body more energy once you have to start that fast, once the sunset, you know, dawn comes up. So that's something that I would do. Water with electrolytes, some really good healthy fats and protein, and I would probably, like right before that feeding window cuts off, I'd be downing a protein shake with like egg yolks in there, some of our beef isolate protein, a good amount of salt, again, because you're going to want those minerals. And yeah, that's what I would do. Good luck. The next question is, do I meditate? Yes, so every single night before I go to bed, I have a YouTube guided meditation that I do, and I've been doing this for years. There's some nights where I miss out on it, maybe when I'm traveling and stuff like that, but I just put that sound on my headphones, I lie down on my back, and I do this breathing exercise. Basically, it takes 8 minutes. So it's not like some crazy deep meditation, but over the years, it has become a deep meditation because I'm very used to it, and I can sort of sink into it pretty fast. So I would really recommend, if you want to get started with meditation, just doing some breathing exercises at night, you know, 5-6 minutes, just controlling your breathing. Big inhales, big slow exhales. Try that out, and it's going to also lead to better sleep. The next question is, why did we create Santa Cruz Paleo and Santa Cruz Medicinals? The reason we started these companies is to create products that we want to use. And we see so many issues in the supplement world. People using poor forms of magnesium, protein powders with artificial sweeteners and food dyes, very horrible processed ingredients in so many products that we see. Underdose products that'll throw, you know, 1 milligram of turmeric and be like, it contains turmeric. And we see just all this garbage with that. So we wanted to create a brand that has potent dosages of everything. It has really, really good quality products. And it also just takes the little steps. When we release a magnesium formula, it's going to have magnesium glycinate. It's not going to have citrate or oxide. When we release an electrolyte, it's going to have real sea salt. It's not going to have just lab-created sodium chloride. It's going to have magnesium glycinate in the electrolytes. Little things like that are products that we want to use, and we know that will benefit you as well. The next question is, what are my favorite vegetables to eat? So as you know, I'm not really somebody who's trying to load up every single plate I eat with vegetables. I do think there is some validity to what Carnivore MD talks about with plant defense chemicals, although I do still eat vegetables. I don't think he's totally spot on with that. I think vegetables are good for you. What vegetables do I like to eat? I like carrots, I like bok choy, I like zucchini, which is technically a fruit, but you know, it's kind of lies somewhere in the middle. I like lettuce, like I'll like doing a burger in a bowl, or like a wrapped burger with some lettuce. And I do like some broccoli and cauliflower sometimes, just not in large amounts. When you eat broccoli and cauliflower every single day, you can inhibit your uptake of your thyroid hormone, because these do have goitrogenic compounds in them. And if you don't believe this, you can just look up broccoli, cauliflower, thyroid. If somebody goes in with thyroid issues, they will tell them to stop eating broccoli and cauliflower. Does this mean you shouldn't eat broccoli and cauliflower? No. If you don't have a thyroid issue, you're going to be fine. However, in this age of health and wellness, some people have gone a little bit crazy with the vegetables, trying to eat as many of them as they possibly can, and it can lead to issues. So I eat a moderate amount of vegetables, and those are just some of the ones that I like lately. The next question is about sunscreen. Brendan, what would I do for sunscreen? Are there any good mineral-based sunscreen brands? The answer is yes. I'm not even sure the brand, like it's in my travel kit. I don't have it with me right now, but if you Google beef tallow sunscreen, there are a lot of good brands that take beef tallow. They add non-nano zinc oxide, which is like a physical barrier for the sun, and that is what I use. I'll probably bring it to Costa Rica, so I'll do a story on it soon, of just like what I put on my face and kind of neck. But overall, the best defense against the sun is throwing on a long sleeve shirt, throwing on a hat. You'd be astonished about how well that does. That does provide SPF. So I would use that. And then your like last resort is a mineral-based sunscreen. Don't use chemical-based sunscreens. They're really bad for you. So that is this week's AMA. I love doing these, guys. Ask me questions below. Whatever you have about health, wellness, life, whatever you got, let me know below. And if you're subscribed and you leave a comment below, we will get to your comments. So let me know any questions you have, and we will do another one of these next week. Headed out to Costa Rica, so I'll check in with you guys soon. Appreciate you. Peace.